Hot Days by Griffin Rose on AO3. Episode 34. Chapter 6. Flashback Thursday Milestones. Izuku still looked a little sheepish, and as peaceful as it has been, it worked as a decent enough icebreaker to calm the kid down. So? Shouta asked. Izuku bit his lip. You can't really help, and it's been a long time, and I don't know why I keep thinking about her so much, and his eyes watered, and he rubbed his arm over them. Hey, slow down. What are you talking about? Who are you thinking of? He had a guess, of course. He'd been trying to think of how to bring this up for a month now, but he needed Izuku to confirm it first. My mom, Izuku whispered. Tears spilled over his cheeks. I don't mean to be ungrateful. You and Uncle Hisashi are great, and I love being here. I love you guys, but I don't know. Izuku. Shouta pulled Izuku against the side, letting the kid cry into his shirt. This breakdown had been a long time coming. It's okay. Of course you miss your mom, and missing her has nothing to do with me or Hisashi. Got it? I promise neither of us are offended by you missing her. He would never begrudge Izuku for missing her. He was more often offended by Izuku thinking he could. But kids got weird ideas all the time, so he let it slide. He rubbed Izuku's back. And a long time, kiddo. It's been a year. That's not long at all. I know it feels like it with everything that's happened, but it really hasn't. Izuku twisted his hand and showed his shirt. When does it stop hurting so much? He whispered. Shouta tightened his arms around him. I wish I could tell you, buddy. Heartache dulls with time, but it's different for everyone. Should he sign Izuku up for counseling? The kid probably could use some, and he should have looked into that sooner. Izuku cried against him for a while. Eventually, Hisashi poked his head in with a raised brow. Everything okay? He misses his mom. Shouta explained. Ah. Hisashi stepped into the room and sat on the edge of the bed, reaching over to ruffle Izuku's curls. Understandable. Want to tell Nezu you're not coming in today? He hated to take the day off, but Izuku was in no condition to deal with school, so someone needed to stay home with him. Please. No, I'm sorry. Izuku squirmed out of Shota's grasp and rubbed his face, trying desperately to control his crying. You don't have to do that. I don't want to be a burden. Shouta frowned and pulled Izuku back to him. You couldn't be a burden if you tried. I don't mind, kid, really. But no buts. Just take it easy today, okay? Hisashi said. Get some sleep, take a walk, and relax. The world won't end if you have 2 days off. Okay. Izuku finally whispered. Hisashi nodded and went to finish getting ready. Shouta expected he and Izuku to go back to sleep. But Izuku needed the bathroom, and he could smell the coffee Hisashi had already made. Before he knew it, he was sipping from his mug and nibbling on some toast. You need anything before I go? Hisashi asked. We'll be fine. Probably just nap on the couch all day. Hisashi nodded. Right. I was thinking, actually, maybe take him to the cemetery. The cemetery? Well, he missed the funeral, right? He never got to say goodbye. The closure might be good for him. Shouta sipped his coffee and considered it. He never really thought about it. But Hisashi was right. After learning his mother had passed away when he was a cat, Izuku never had another chance to properly grieve. He missed the funeral, and unless his foster mother brought him, he'd never visit her grave. I'll see what he thinks of the idea. Shouta agreed. Hisashi usually had the better instincts for this kind of thing, and he didn't mind walking through a cemetery if it helped Izuku in the long run. Izuku was quiet at first when Shouta brought it up over breakfast, but he nodded and shyly asked if they could pick up flowers on the way. The internet search to find her grave didn't take long, and they strolled through the headstones just before lunch. Izuku carrying a bouquet of colorful wildflowers. Wildflowers had been his mother's favorite, he said. She liked the bright colors. Izuku was already crying when he laid them on her headstone. He traced the characters of her name. "Hi, Mom." Shouta stood next to him, silently offering his support. He was trying to follow Izuku's lead. But now that they were here and the flowers delivered, it seemed like Izuku didn't know what to do next either. So Izuku kept talking. "I miss you. I hope you're happy, wherever you are now. I hope you find someone better than Dad. He's in jail now, and he'll be there for a long time. I don't miss him nearly as much as I miss you." Shouta held in his laughter. He would sure hope Izuku didn't miss the man who killed his mother, no matter what blood relations was. "You don't have to worry about me. I found someone who cares about me a whole lot, and he's a hero too. I live with him and his best friend, another hero." Izuku continued to describe Eraserhead and Present Mike, and what living with them was like. He didn't leave much out, talking about his growing friendship with Tenya Ida and his new school. Eventually, though, even Izuku ran out of words. "I still miss you. I'm happy now. I love Shouta and Hisashi and Tenya, and I'm glad Dad can't hurt me anymore, but I miss you a lot." A sob broke his voice. Shouta squeezed his shoulder. "I think your mom would just be happy that you're happy, kid." She sounded like a good mother, and that was what any decent parent would want, right? He couldn't describe the warm, gooey feeling in his chest at hearing Izuku say he was happy. But if it was in the realm of parent emotions, he knew Inko Midoriya would feel it too. "I am happy," Izuku confirmed, reaching up with one hand to hold onto Shota's. "But I'm sad too, because she's not here." Shouta rubbed circles on his shoulder. "That's okay. You can be both at the same time." Nodding, Izuku leaned against Shouta. Shouta wrapped his arms around Izuku's shoulder. They stayed in silence for another 10 minutes before Izuku was ready to leave. Shouta made sure to memorize their route. This was only the first time they'd been there. They'll be back plenty of times in the future, he was sure of it. Inko Midoriya was gone physically from Izuku's life, but she'd never really be gone. She would always be his mother. Izuku was 9 the first time Shouta didn't come back from patrol. Well, to be more precise, the first time Shouta didn't come home without warning them. There had been an instance before when an arrest at the end of his shift kept him overtime, or something came up last minute, but he always texted Hisashi to give him a heads up that he was fine, just doing paperwork. Hisashi would then tell Izuku, and they would go about their day as normal. Usually, Shouta wandered in while they were having breakfast, looking more or less like a zombie. It was a disconcert for Izuku to wake up one morning, his dad's bedroom empty, and Hisashi wearing a fake smile while constantly checking his phone. His stomach sank with every passing minute. He probably just forgot to text. He's always been terrible at that, Hisashi said. He kept his phone up on the table beside him. Right. Izuku pushed his rice around. He wanted to believe Hisashi. He really did. But Hisashi didn't look like he believed himself. And Izuku already knew that life wasn't always a happy ending. Breakfast was a quiet and tense, and things didn't really change as Izuku got dressed and grabbed his backpack. They were both putting their shoes on while Hisashi's phone finally rang. He said something in English that Izuku didn't catch, but he was pretty sure it was a swear. "Show?" Izuku strained to hear the other side of the conversation. Would morphing into something with better hearing be considered an abuse of his quirk? "You what? You were... Fuck. We'll be there. Yeah, I'll call a school. You're really okay, right?" Izuku tugged on Hisashi's sleeves. "He wants to talk to you," Hisashi said, right before passing the phone to Izuku. "Dad?" Izuku asked. "Hey, Izuku. Sorry to make you worry." "You're okay, though." "I'm a little roughed up. Got caught by a surprise last night, and a villain got a jump on me. Hisashi's gonna bring you to see me, okay?" "Okay," Izuku said. "We'll see you soon, then." "Yeah, real soon, bud." Izuku's anxiety settled in a little. He was still worried. Things had to be bad if his dad was round up and couldn't come home, and Izuku was fairly sure that meant he was about to visit him in the hospital, and hospitals were always serious. But it couldn't be too bad if his dad was able to call them, right? He changed out of his school uniform before they left, throwing on the first clothes he'd find. Hisashi stayed in his hero outfit, and he continued to text Shouta along the way. Like Izuku thought, they were at a hospital. They were directed to a normal room, and Hisashi relaxed when they found out it wasn't ICU. Shouta was sitting up when they got there, scowling at a tray of food. He pushed it away when they came in. Izuku rushed up beside him, hesitating before giving in to instincts to crawl up beside him. For the most sad, his dad looked away. He had a bandage around his head, but the white hospital gown was honestly more disconcerting. Izuku was used to seeing him in black. "Come here," Shouta said gently, shifting an arm to make room for Izuku beside him. Izuku took up the position happily. Hisashi plopped onto a nearby chair. "I hate you. If it makes you feel better, the food here is absolutely crap." "Good. I'm glad you're suffering," Hisashi stated. "Should we smuggle in food?" Izuku asked. "They're hoping to release me this afternoon, but it's good one of you cares about me." "Are you kidding? I almost had a panic attack like 3 different times this morning. I can't believe you got yourself stabbed." Izuku jolted up. "What?" Shouta glared at Hisashi. It was a glaze. "If it was bad enough to land you in the hospital, you were stabbed. I'm in the hospital because of the concussion. Most of this was precautionary anyways." Izuku looked up at the bandages on Shota's head again, making a keen sound in the back of his throat. Both men turned to him. Shouta drew him against his side again and calmed him down. "It's already mostly healed, I promise. They're gonna do another scan this morning. And if it's better, they're gonna let me go home, okay?" "But you were stabbed," Izuku asked. He could just make out the outline of the bandages around Shota's chest under the gown. "Glazed," Shouta corrected. "I just lost some blood, and they had to give me some, but I'm fine. No organs or anything was hit." It was amazing how little this was making Izuku feel better. He took his clues from Hisashi, who raised disbelieving eyes at Shouta and shook his head. "I'll be home tonight, and then you'll see that it is not the big deal you're making it out to be," Shouta said. Izuku shared a glance with Hisashi. Neither one of them believed him. It took until after the test Shouta had mentioned before, and a doctor confirming that Shouta was clear to go home, for the two to start to relax. He wasn't allowed to go back to work for a few days while he recovered, but most of the part was good, and he was good to go. Izuku was only too happy to see Shouta resting on their own couch at home. They ate leftovers for dinner, and watched a movie of Shota's choice, a centuries-old noir film, for whatever reason. Shota's favorite movie were from the few decades of film, when they barely had even the preliminary technology to capture anything on camera. They were exciting in their own way, knowing that the actors didn't have any quirks to rely on, and that all the effects were created by hand somehow. If Izuku wasn't so enamored with heroics, he could see his curiosity leading him towards the industry. Izuku fell asleep during the movie, head resting on Shota's chest, and listening to his heartbeat. It was his favorite lullaby, and coupled with Shouta running a finger through Izuku's hair, Izuku never stood a chance. Okay, well, that was an emotional one. It was an emotional one mainly because, we just went through a chapter where he was grieving his mother, and then we just went through another chapter where Aizawa ended up at the hospital. And I'm sorry, downplaying getting stabbed is so Aizawa. It was bound to happen. A lot of the times with Aizawa adopting Izuku or whatever, it happens a lot. Also, I'm sorry, I still ship Aizawa and Hisashi. Look, Griffin Rose, nothing against you. I need my gaze. I need my sunshine and grumpy. Okay? I'm addicted. It's an addiction, and I understand, and I'm never going to get sober. I'm having to read Eraserhead Fix after I podfic this every time just to cope. Dude, I have a problem. Okay. Next chapter is chapter 7, Summer Camp Part 1, Coda. Oh, I'm killing myself tonight. I should not say that on YouTube. Summary. There's a kid at their training camp. Izuku's big brother's instincts activate. Aww! I can't wait for them to interact. Is this gonna be different with like Izuku's mutation quirk? It always changes. Like I know in Fluffy Mind, Koda and Izuku kind of bond, but then Koda says something that is really insensitive to Izuku, and Izuku then, instead of being offended, goes into the route of like, hey, you had hero parents, I have hero parents. You're living my worst nightmare. That I get abandoned. That they die and I have no one left to go home to. What Izuku does not say is that this is the second time that he doesn't want that to happen again. He already had one parent who perished. He doesn't want that happening again. But I cannot wait to see how this would go, especially considering the fact that Izuku is grieving a mother, right? And obviously it's not the same, right? His mother wasn't a hero. But Izuku does feel somewhat guilty, and Izuku can be like, hey, you know, I have also lost someone. So in a way, I understand part of your pain. So I am really excited to see how that goes and seeing how that discovers. I'm also super scared because it's a training camp, so I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm in danger. Anyways, as always, my rain drops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.